Hello and a very warm welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha with Verdict 2014, featuring all the news and updates in the assembly elections in Maharashtra and Haryana. First, the headlines. Delhi High Court orders INLD Chief Om Prakash Chautala to return to jail, bans him from campaigning further for the assembly polls. Intense campaigning continues in Maharashtra as Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi cross swords at the rallies. Shiv Sena releases its manifesto for Maharashtra Assembly polls, promises inclusive growth. And amid talks of a Sena-MNS post-poll alliance, Raj Thackeray claims to have offered olive branch to Uddhav the day BJP snapped its ties. And the big story that we're tracking this evening. 5 days before the Haryana Assembly elections, the Delhi High Court has directed INLD chief to return to jail. The court's verdict was in reply to a CBI plea seeking cancellation of interim bail to Om Prakash Chautala. The former chief minister, convicted in a teacher's recruitment scam, will have to surrender before the jail authorities by Saturday.
Former Haryana Chief Minister Om Prakash Chautala had been campaigning in Haryana for the assembly polls for the past few days. In his rallies, he even vowed to take oath from jail if his party is elected to power again. Chautala was granted bail on medical grounds in May this year after being convicted in the teachers' recruitment scam. CBI raised hue and cry that he violated his bail conditions by campaigning. Summoned to appear personally in Delhi High Court on Friday afternoon, Chautala denied CBI's charges against him.
कोर्ट क्या करेगी ये तो कोर्ट पे डिपेंड करता है, लेकिन कोई मेरे साथ मेरी बेल पे कोई कंडीशन नहीं थी.
But the court's verdict directing him to go back to Tihar jail has ended his chances of campaigning further in these elections. Delhi High Court has banned him from addressing any more election meetings in Haryana, where he has served 4 terms as the chief minister. His party, INLD, will be looking to return to power after a gap of 10 years. It remains to be seen if the senior Chautala's absence from campaigns will affect its chances. With inputs from Ravindra Shioran and Vishal Dahiya, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And for more on that story, let's go across to our correspondent Vishal Dahiya. Vishal, obviously with Om Prakash Chautala all set to go back to jail tomorrow, it's a huge setback for the INLD. How do you think it's going to affect the party's campaign? Obviously, it's the most crucial time of campaigning.
Well, politically and electorally speaking, cannot be considered as that much big a huge setback because in effect, if you look at it, the days left for the campaigning in the state of Haryana is just 3 days left. Tomorrow he is to go ahead and surrender. Today is 10th. The campaigning comes to an end on 13th in the evening. So just 3 days left for the campaigning. He is almost, crisscrossed the length and breadth of the state. There are several very important public meetings which he has held. He has been involved in the background, planning and strategy planning of the party as well for these elections. From looking at it from the INLD's perspective, this is rather, politically speaking, this is going to be, it is peculiarly a win-win situation for them. If at all, Chautala's bail could have been extended and he would have been allowed to campaign, that would have been definitely a boost in the arm, a shot in the arm for the INLD. But now that Om Prakash Chautala has been asked to go back to the jail by the High Court, asked to surrender, not to campaign anymore, the sympathy factor, right, which is something, a plank on which the INLD has been playing its political card in these elections. That is something which the party's second-rung leaders, those who are now left to campaign, such as O.P. Chautala's grandson Dushyant Chautala and O.P. Chautala's son Abhay Chautala and rest of the leaders of the party will definitely, are expected to go ahead and use this handle of sympathy to try and garner more votes, specifically in the Jat heartland and those areas where INLD does have a lot of, affinity amongst the people.
Right, Vishal, thank you so much for joining us with those details. Now, moving on in the bulletin, among those on campaign trail in Haryana today were Chief Minister Bhupinder Singh Hooda and BJP Chief Amit Shah. With less than a week to go for the assembly polls, both leaders stepped up rhetoric in their speeches. Hooda criticized BJP's actions to tackle ceasefire violation or price rise with its government at the centre. Shah raised the issue of corruption in his speech. Naming both Hooda and Chautala, he urged voters to opt for a government with a clean image.
पाकिस्तान के अंदाज खट्टे कर जाएंगे, उर्ली तब देखन भी नहीं जाएंगे, चाइना को 10 गज पहले रखेंगे, हिंदुस्तान की सीमाओं की तरफ देख नहीं सकते। लेकिन भाई 3 महीने में क्या हुआ? 100 से 150 बार पाकिस्तान जो है उल्लंघन कर चुका सीज फायर का, और रोज लगातार रोज गोलाबारी करता है। दूसरे दिन तीसरे दिन कोई ना कोई हमारा फौजी सैनिक शहीद होता है। परसों ही 5 किए, रोज कहीं देख रहे, तो ये मूक दर्शक बने बैठे हैं।
कभी हुड्डा, कभी चौटाला, कभी चौटाला, कभी हुड्डा। ये 3-4 परिवारों ने पूरे हरियाणा के विकास को बांध में लेकर रखा है, भ्रष्टाचार की इंतहा कर दी।
And moving on to Maharashtra now, with just 3 days left for campaigning, political bigwigs have intensified their campaign across the state. While Prime Minister Narendra Modi continued with his rigorous campaigning in the state, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi also held rallies in Pune and Nasik. Both did not mince any words to attack their political rivals.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed back-to-back rallies on Friday in Chandrapur, Dhamangaon and Hingoli. However, he was not his usual self. Sore throat forced him to speak for only a few minutes. Even then, he hit back at the criticisms thrown at him by the opposition in the last few rallies.
देश की जनता ने कांग्रेस पार्टी को क्या नहीं दिया? 60 साल तक सत्ता दी, गरीबी के नाम पर वोट लिए, लेकिन कभी गरीबों का भला नहीं किया। अब इस देश में कांग्रेस पार्टी दोबारा जीवित होने की संभावना नहीं है।
Returning to campaign in Maharashtra after a gap of a day, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi took on Modi for his call of a Congress-free Maharashtra. He also accused the centre of working for the benefit of industrialists at the expense of the poor.
पहले अच्छे दिन आएंगे, अब जल्दी ठीक हो जाएगा। प्याज के दाम बढ़े, जल्दी ठीक हो जाएगा। पाकिस्तान ने फायरिंग की, जल्दी ठीक हो जाएगा। चीन की आर्मी आई, जल्दी ठीक हो जाएगा। प्लान क्या है मैं आपको बताता हूं। इनका आपके जेब में से उद्योगपति के अंदर ट्रांसफर है। हम पैसा आपके पास भेजते थे, ये पैसा आपसे उठाकर उधर भेज रहे हैं।
BSP Supremo Maha-yuti ended her 4-day campaign in Maharashtra with her rallies in Bhandara and Nagpur. The party is contesting on almost all seats and is aiming to make a significant impact in the state. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
And the Shiv Sena released its election manifesto for Maharashtra today. Party chief Raj Thackeray unveiled the party's roadmap for the next 5 years at a function in Mumbai. Promising to focus on inclusive growth, the manifesto has something for every section of voters. The Sena has also promised to improve the conditions of farmers and weavers. The party has proposed to build houses for those residing in slums. It has also proposed to develop Navi Mumbai further. Uddhav claimed to make the state toll-free if elected. He has also promised to build a museum named after Shivaji. And let's go across to our correspondent Raj Kamal, who's joining us live from Mumbai. Raj, of course, with just 3 days left for campaigning, the parties have intensified their campaign. You're in Mumbai. How are the voters responding as the election is approaching nearer and nearer?
Voters are getting to meet every politician almost every day. Now it's a 5-corner contest, so parties and MLA candidates are meeting regularly with people because it's only 2 days technically left for the campaign. 13th, 5 o'clock, everything ends. Right. So it's for major leaders in BJP, Shiv Sena and other parties. It's very crucial for them to have that connect via public rallies and via direct contact. So it's very crucial for them. And the war of words have been a tendency in these elections campaign, and it is continuing, Tina.
Right. Also, Raj, the Shiv Sena released its election manifesto today. What do you think the party has new to offer to the voters? Obviously, this time it's going it all alone in the state.
The promises that they have mentioned in their manifesto were very regular in Shiv Sena's campaign. Uddhav Thackeray and Aditya Thackeray have been saying these things through their rallies. The Utha Maharashtra was their tagline in the Lok Sabha elections, which BJP and Shiv Sena, they both proposed that. But because now they are parted ways, so the tagline has been taken over by Shiv Sena, and we may expect BJP to give some other line, because the development plank of these two political parties is same, whether it's removing of toll plazas or developing Navi Mumbai, or even providing some kind of pension and farm waivers, loan waivers to farmers and other parts of farmers living in other parts like Vidarbha and Pune were regular. But there is nothing new in Shiv Sena's manifesto. But it's very 2 days left, so it's one of the party's strategy to promote their campaign.
Also, what about Raj Thackeray and Uddhav Thackeray? Every day we are hearing new developments as far as the alliance, post-poll alliance scenario is concerned between both brothers. What do you expect if both brothers come together in a post-poll scenario?
See, the strategy is very clear. Uddhav Thackera's demand has been, with BJP parting ways, the Hindutva vote is now divided into three parties. In urban areas, MNS is also a factor. So Raj Thackeray giving an indication on a post-poll line, that means one of these parties in few sectors where there is a marginal difference between these two parties, the vote share may either go to Shiv Sena or MNS. So what they are trying to do is they are trying to get and gather the Hindutva vote, which were earlier with BJP and Shiv Sena. Now they are trying to convert that vote to Manse and Shiv Sena, so that either of these parties can get the benefit, because BJP, which is also on the Hindutva agenda, may cut across these votes.
Right. All right, Raj, thank you so much for joining us with those details. Now, in fact, MNS chief Raj Thackeray has claimed that he had offered alliance with Shiv Sena the day it broke its ties with the BJP in Maharashtra. According to PTI, Thackeray said in an interview that he had a word with his estranged cousin Uddhav Thackeray about it. He said that both agreed to take the talks forward, but Sena stopped responding to its repeated queries thereafter. A warmer relationship, however, became evident when Raj insisted on taking on the BJP repeatedly for the split with the Sena during his election rallies. He even criticized Uddhav for not severing ties with the NDA government at the centre immediately. Later, both parties said that the options are open for a tie-up after the elections. And after the split in ties with Sena in Maharashtra, BJP MP Poonam Mahajan feels there is a good chance that the assembly polls will throw up a fractured mandate. Speaking exclusively to our correspondent Raj Rao, the daughter of former BJP leader Pramod Mahajan talked about her party's game plan to secure a majority in the state. Let's listen in.
I have with me BJP's Lok Sabha MP Poonam Mahajan, who is campaigning in her polls. Ma'am, it's a second-generation politicians leading BJP and Shiv Sena. After the breakup, how has your relations changed? Because you worked together in last Lok Sabha elections. Now you are the second-generation politician in your family, same with the Shiv Sena. So how has these relations between two parties changed at the ground level?
I'm the second, they're the third generation, I guess. But no. It was quite hurtful for me when the alliance broke, because for me, it's not a political tie-up, it's a family tie-up, it's a ideological tie-up. Yes, it has happened like that, but as family relations which have not gone bad, we talk to each other. But when it comes to my political party, when it comes to Shiv Sena, we have our own agenda, we have our own thought process, and we take this forward. So I don't mix family and politics together. I always tell people also, now it has happened, let it go. Put forward your party's agenda in front of people and let people decide who can do the best.
Are you not worried about this fractured mandate happening at assembly level? Because several believe that in a five-corner contest, the margin may be less, but what if they favor a fractured government?
I completely agree with you that this is the first time complex election is happening in Maharashtra. This kind of five-cornered fight has never happened in Maharashtra. But people, I think we should not even take people for granted. People would like to come out and vote for a party which can give a good governance. And I leave it to people's thinking, which I believe they will do it well, how they did it in Lok Sabha, that go for a party which would like to take your developmental agenda forward, which would like to take everyone together, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and take the agenda of the people forward and, put a good governance.
Ma'am, last question. You have 30 plus constituencies in Mumbai division. 36. So 36. So what is your rough guess at this juncture, ma'am?
I don't play with numbers. I believe that we need a clear mandate. So right now, throwing a number and play with it is not important. Like every Lok Sabha, we have 6 MPs from Mumbai. So every Lok Sabha, we have in Maharashtra 6 Vidhan Sabhas. I, being an MP from a particular constituency, I will be pushing for all 6 because I would love to do that. But out of 36, we will, as I've said, clear mandate will represent even Mumbai's big number and big chunk. So let's hope for the best chunk. We believe in that. I request people also to come out and support the clear mandate.
Sure. Thank you very much, ma'am, for talking to Rajya Sabha TV. With camera person Siddharth, this is Raj Rao.
Right, we'll slip into a short break here, but when we come back, we tell you how 2 former Maharashtra ministers jailed in corruption case are managing their poll campaigns. Details after this quick break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Verdict 2014. Now, at a time when Chautala is headed back to Tihar jail, 2 under-trial former ministers of Maharashtra are busy on campaign trail. Suresh Jain and Gulab Rao Devkar are managing their campaign from jail. Both are contesting the assembly polls from the Jalgaon district. Here's a report.
It's 4 a.m. and Prakash Devkar is busy planning for his uncle Gulab Rao Devkar's campaign schedule. Unlike the last elections, the kin of former state minister is managing the show this time in his constituency, Jalgaon Rural. That's because Devkar is in jail since last December for his alleged role in the corruption case known as Gharkul scam. He was permitted to contest as charges against him are yet to be proved.
Not even high walls of prison could cast its shadow on the poll campaigning in Jalgaon district. Former minister and NCP's candidate from Jalgaon Rural, Gulab Rao Devkar, and former minister and Shiv Sena's candidate from Jalgaon City, Suresh Jain, are in prison for their alleged role in Gharkul housing scam. And their families have risen to hit the campaign trail.
A lot of work as you know, he is a first-time minister and first-time MLA. And he has done, in 4 years, he has made a development of 450 crores. That's the main agenda of our election.
Devkar's co-accused is 7-time MLA Suresh Jain, who is considered invincible on his home turf Jalgaon City. Owner of a number of companies and institutions, Jain has roped in even managers to help his campaign.
Believes here that he is involved in corruption. He has been framed. They know it's a political conspiracy. People in their heart of heart, they know for sure that he is not that type of person. And therefore, nobody believes in whatever, basically has been, said against him.
Voters have a mixed reaction to these 2 leaders in the fray. While some feel corruption charges have tainted them, there are others who praise their efforts as legislators.
अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं. जिस जगह के ऊपर बंजर जगह थी, आज वहाँ पे काफी विकास हुआ है. तो वो हिसाब से अपने को ऐसा लगता है कि शहर में विकास वही आदमी करता है, तो वो आएगा ऐसा अंदाज है मेरा.
वो कैंडिडेट अभी 2.5 साल से जेल में है और अभी भी फिर उनको चुन के देना. अभी पिछले 25 साल से वो आमदार बन के बैठे हैं. जलगांव के रास्ते खड्डे में है कि खड्डे रास्ते में है, अभी तक यही समझ में नहीं आ रहा जलगांव लोगों को. तो जलगांव का इससे बड़ा दुर्भाग्य तो मैं समझ सकता हूँ कि इससे बड़ा दुर्भाग्य हो ही नहीं सकता है.
The Gharkul housing scheme was meant to provide homes for the poor in Jalgaon. As a housing minister, Jain had allegedly siphoned off the funds. Devkar, NCP's face in North Maharashtra, faces charges of criminal conspiracy and fraud in the construction of 11,000 low-cost houses. Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha TV.
And Kriti Mishra is also joining us live at the moment. Kriti, 2 key candidates in Jalgaon, both are in jail. They are confident that they will win. But what are the voters in Jalgaon saying?
Exactly, Tina. Both of them have been imprisoned in connection with the Gharkul housing scheme, Gharkul housing scam, and this scheme was to provide low-cost homes to the slum dwellers. This scam dates back to 1990s, but only came to the fore around 2006. So the allegation on them is that the bank guarantee was directed to the builder, and the advances were made. The advances were released in violation with the set rules. Now the families are confident, and if I talk about Suresh Jain, he has been winning continuously since 1980. And he's a seasoned party hopper, a turncoat. Earlier he was with Congress, then he switched over to NCP and now with Shiv Sena. And it is said that late Raj Thackeray, he himself came to induct him into the party to set foot for Shiv Sena in the Khandesh region. Now voters are largely divided. Many feel that Deokar and Suresh Jain, they did bring a lot of development in Jalgaon. But there are others who feel that criminalization of politics or these tainted leaders would not do any good to them. But as far as their families are concerned, they are exuding confidence that their candidates would surely win and are going all out to lure the voters. Back to you, Tina.
All right, Kriti, thank you so much for giving us that input from Jalgaon. Now, Haryana has given India a number of sportsmen and women down the years. So, needless to say, they have a big role to play in the election season as well. Every political party in the fray is promising more benefits and facilities for these sportsmen. Our correspondent Ravindra Shoran brings us this exclusive report.
2014 Asian Games, Incheon, South Korea. Many of India's medals coming from Haryana sportspersons. And this isn't the first time Haryana has brought in sporting laurels either. So what attracts men and women in Haryana to take up sports as a career? The answer, the state promoting sports and providing perks to those who win medals.
शुरुआत तब हुई जब हमारी बीजिंग गेम्स के अंदर उस समय मैं मंत्री थी स्पोर्ट्स की और ये स्पोर्ट्स की नीति जो थी उस समय जो है मैंने बनाई थी और उससे आगे उसके बाद हमने उसके अंदर ऐड ऑन करते गए जिसका आज नतीजा ये है कि हरियाणा के जो स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन हैं क्योंकि ये हमारे यहाँ पर बहुत एक पौध है जैसे मैं कहती हूँ और इतने बच्चे जो हैं वो खिलाड़ी हैं और उनको खेलों के अंदर इतना ज़बरदस्त उनको दिलचस्पी है.
Not just the local political leadership, national political bigwigs are wooing Haryana too through the state's sporting achievements.
नया नारा बनना चाहिए हरियाणा के लिए नया नारा बनना चाहिए जय जवान जय किसान जय पहलवान.
With the state's interest in sports in mind, political parties this time have made it a poll issue.
सिर्फ मीडिया में खेल नीति की तारीफ हो रही है कुछ ने खेल रत्न चौधरी अभय सिंह जी चौटाला ने जो नीतियां बनाई थी उसी का परिणाम है कि आज पूरे हिंदुस्तान में हरियाणा का नाम खेलों के मामले में लिया जा रहा है.
क्या खेल की नीति कोई एक पैसा बजट आया नहीं बच्चे अपने बापड़े अपने हिसाब से गाँव में जाके छोटे स्टेडियम अपना आप खुद तैयार करके तैयारी करने कोई सरकार की तरफ से इमदाद नहीं मिल रही.
Riding high on its success in the Lok Sabha elections, the BJP has set itself a target of 60 plus seats in Haryana. And to achieve that, the party has promised to start a Haryana Sports League to woo the sports fraternity in the state.
नहीं खेलों को भी पूरा खिलाड़ियों को प्रोत्साहन देंगे और खेलों का महत्व भी उनको बताया जाएगा और इसके लिए नए-नए अवसर भी प्रदान किए जाएंगे.
Better sports infrastructure and improved facilities for the state sportspersons are some of the promises held up to voters. Winning tops the agenda for now. Keeping the promises can come later.
It's been around 50 years since Haryana was formed, but the state is yet to have a capital of its own. Chandigarh serves as the capital city to neighbouring Punjab as well. Parties this time have made it a poll issue to demand a separate capital city for the state.
Known as the Garden City of India, Chandigarh boasts of serving as the capital of two states, Haryana and Punjab. While the two states share the administrative responsibilities, the governors have the final say. For those residing here, the model of governance in Chandigarh should serve as an example.
चंडीगढ़ यूनियन टेरिटरी है, चाहे ये राजधानी है पंजाब और हरियाणा की, लेकिन है वो यूनियन टेरिटरी है। यहाँ के लोग सिर्फ पार्लियामेंट के लिए एक बार साल में या जब भी 5 साल बाद जो वोट होता है उसमें पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं। यहाँ के असेंबली की कोई इलेक्शन नहीं है। और मेरा ये मानना है कि चंडीगढ़ के लोग अगर लोगों से पूछें तो वो यूनियन टेरिटरी स्टेटस प्रेफर करते हैं, ना वो चाहते हैं कि चंडीगढ़ पंजाब में जाए, ना ही जाए हरियाणा में जाए।
But during election season, it turns into a political issue. For Haryana, it's a question of having a capital city of its own, something BJP is trying to exploit ahead of the assembly polls.
कांग्रेस पार्टी ने हमारे हरियाणा और पंजाब के बीच में जो मुद्दे थे उनको कभी सोल्व नहीं किया, बल्कि उनको हमेशा उलझाने की कोशिश की। इस कारण से इतने सालों के बाद भी ये मसले हल नहीं हो सके, चाहे वो एसवाइएल का मुद्दा है, चाहे हिंदी भाषाई क्षेत्रों का मुद्दा है और चाहे चंडीगढ़ का।
Congress, on the other hand, wants to take one step at a time to solve the crisis. That's why Chief Minister Bhupender Singh Hooda has proposed a separate High Court for Haryana to strengthen its claim for an independent capital. INLD has also proposed a deal to end the matter. It wants to trade off lands in expectation to ensure claims on Chandigarh.
चंडीगढ़ पे हक हरियाणा का है। दास कमीशन ने जब अपनी रिपोर्ट दी थी उसके अंदर चंडीगढ़ को हरियाणा को दिया था, खड़ तहसील भी हरियाणा को दी थी। ये तो उस टाइम के कांग्रेस के राजनेताओं ने हरियाणा के हितों से खिलवाड़ करके इसको यूनियन टेरिटरी बना दिया। आज भी हमारा हक है और हम ही असली चंडीगढ़ के मालिक।
The tussle over Chandigarh between the two states began in 1966. It has remained unresolved despite parties raising the issue in consecutive elections.
पंजाब ने ये पॉलिटिकल मुद्दा बहुत पहले उठाया था और पंजाब में शायद एग्जॉस्ट होके लोगों ने वो सोचना बोलना बंद कर दिया है, बिकॉज पंजाब में बहुत देर तक ये बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा रहा है। हरियाणा में अब जरूर पॉलिटिकल प्लेटफॉर्म ये इसके लिए बहुत राइप है। जब भी इलेक्शन आते हैं उस वक्त एक बात होती है, बहुत जोर शोर से बात होती है। लगता है अभी हाईकोर्ट भी एक नया हरियाणा का बन रहा है, कैपिटल भी बन रहा है।
It is expected to be a multi-cornered contest in Haryana this time, though it remains to be seen if the new government will take the first steps in pursuit of an exclusive capital. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And that's all we have for you today in Verdict 2014. But we'll see you same time tomorrow with more election updates. Until then, goodbye.